Move that we approve item C2, the consideration of revised policy 8200 for food services on first reading only.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved by Kristen, second by Lorraine, that we approve C2, consideration of revised policy 8200 on first reading only. Does any member of the audience wish to speak to the motion? Does any member of the board wish to speak to the motion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion passes unanimous. Okay, C3, individual transportation contracts.
Yep. I recommend the approval of the individual transportation contracts as presented. As you can see in your packet, there's 4 contracts that we had to adjust north of town based on construction efforts that are presently occurring. So, and if you have any kind of questions on that, I think was it an additional 4 miles? I think it was 2. Maybe it's 2 miles. It was 4 because of both ways. So, yeah. So those contracts have been adjusted just to meet the kind of specifics on what's occurring right now. So,
Do I exclude myself from this?
Yes.
So,
yep. Yes, you do.
just want to make sure.
Yep.
And this is because the state is doing road construction and we can't get buses as far as we typically do, correct?
Oh, they would,
Yeah.
so they'd be able to
gotta go
go,
further.
it's the timing
Yes.
Oh.
of when they would
back.
be, they take them, they've been taking them out in the afternoons.
Okay.
Yes.
But in the mornings coming in, because they have additional kids to pick up in town, they just can't guarantee when they would get there.
Okay.
Unless they pick the kids up out there, at 6 o'clock in the morning,
Sure.
and then they're waiting at the first pickup
Yeah.
for an hour because road construction today didn't take anything to get through. So that's why they just said why don't we do, if you can get them to town in the morning, we could give them a ride out in the afternoon. It may change and we'll call you if we're gonna be delayed,
Okay.
is what they've been doing
Yep.
so far, so.
Okay. Have they given you an idea of how long it's gonna take? until
Every
they-
rain shower changes things.
Yeah.
The average regardless, it was 3 hours for a truck to go in 20 miles to the elevator and get back out.
It's, they won't be done with construction this year, it's gonna go into the
Okay.
next summer. So until it freezes and it gets too cold for them to do dirt work, they'll be continuing.
Yeah, Gotcha.
But once the weather gets to where they can't do it, then that's when we'll stop.
yeah,
The north of town one's been difficult, and that's kind of where Scott and myself and Moses, like looking at this, that made the most sense.
sure.
Because it's so unknown. Where at least in town, you've got a better
Yeah.
idea, like, hey, this is going to wrap up at relatively this time, right? But the one north of town's pretty. I don't know. Kind of what we're getting into this.
What do we have today?
Yeah.
I call Laura on my way home and say, this is where the stopping points are. You should go the other way to town
Okay.
today. Or there's only one today. You can come the normal route.
Yeah.
But I update her and the kids every day when I go home.
Yeah,
which
'cause it's
route they
different.
gotta take.
Okay.
down.
Yeah.
So.
It's very easy.
Any other questions or comments on transportation contracts?
One of them, well, it's not discussion yet.
No, it is.
Okay, I noticed all but one had road construction problem going across bottom. That mean the one's different or?
Just
It's just
find it on
it's just a regular one, I'm pretty sure, Kevin, yeah.
Okay,
They don't normally have one. That, because they live right on the highway,
oh, yeah,
so that would
so
be,
the other ones were off of the highway,
the other ones have to transport to get to the highway.
gotcha.
So they already have one in place where,
Alright.
that one did not have,
Yes, that makes sense.
so it was a brand new contract.
Yeah.
The other ones were just a change.
Gotcha. And that's why theirs were that way,
Yeah.
because it'll continue, but not, having to take them so far. In other words, they'll be going back to the highway once road construction's done. represent all the way down.
Yeah, the other three were already on file, but there was a,
Yeah.
that one's a brand new case, so.
That's all I was wondering.
Okay. With that, does anybody want to make a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the agenda item C3 as presented.
Is there a second?
All set.
Oh,
It's been moved by Garrett and seconded by, Kevin that we approve agenda item C3 as presented. Does any member of the board wish to speak to the motion? And I will not be voting because I have one of these. So all those in favor, raise your hand. Motion passes unanimous. Okay, that brings us to the public comment portion of our meeting. This is an opportunity for any member of the audience to bring to the attention of the board questions or relevant comment concerning school district matters not on the agenda. The board may not take any action on matters brought to the attention of the board unless specific notice of that matter is included on the properly noticed agenda. Therefore, in the public comment portion of the meeting, the board will not discuss or take any action, but may refer matter presented to a future agenda. If you have comments, please come to the microphone so that the board can hear you. Are there any persons present wishing to comment at this? Seeing as there are none, we'll move on to D1.
Yes. So Havre Public Schools, we use the Indian Education for All and Title VI building coordinators to help facilitate our program for the 25-26 school year. So as you remember, when we closed out last spring, we were approached by Jessica Stiffarm, and she was interested in kind of coming back to fill this need. So we approved her. And then just some logistical stuff. It just didn't kind of work out for her and her personal life. So, which we understand. So then of course Holly and I are in the at this point, midsummer. What are we gonna do? Like, how are we gonna figure this out? And as you know, it was very difficult to even find, Jessica to want to do this. This is a position that's super difficult to fill, and it's super difficult to have any kind of consistency with this. So as Holly and I were kind of navigating this, and Moses and I had a conversation with Grant Inslee, and so that's who runs our grant out of Washington, DC. So he has all the easy grant. We kind of pitched a couple different ideas, and what we've come up with, I passed out a sheet to you to go ahead and take a look at, is a way to manage this system internally, at least for this year. If we developed a system that just we found was outstanding, we can move forward with it. If we have something in the future that comes to Havre or is within our system that says, Brian, I'd love to take this over from every angle for you, fabulous, let's do it. But with that being said, as you can see, we tried to kind of line out then a plan moving forward. So I'm the authorized rep, Moses will be the project director, and Holly's listed as an additional contact so that she can hop on with the grant to look at everything, and she'll be a part of all the conversations and how we navigate this. But basically what we're looking to do in a nutshell is we're going to have building coordinators run activities on site and manage curriculum related questions and issues. So we'll all be kind of navigating and working with them to do this. We looked at a couple models. Right now we have it posted so that there's 2 positions at each school, roughly about 2,500 each. We're going to see if we get enough people to pull that off. If not, we may have to just go to one person at per site that runs the activities and curriculum. But we were trying to get 2 in an effort just to share out kind of the volume of this. Right. And so that's what Katie did so well. She was great at that. Then she worked with the building coordinators, which are, so we had those a year ago, and that system worked really well. But without that person, we'll all just kind of have to pitch in to get those aspects to run efficiently.
So the principal isn't necessarily the building.
Coordinator. Yeah, not necessarily in this.
Okay.
Yeah, now last year we did have Heather.
The middle school.
Yeah, the middle school had Heather run it just because there wasn't anybody interested in doing it. And so they've had to pitch in. And so, Holly and I are kind of, I think we've got it through tomorrow, right?
Through Thursday.
Yeah, and so, through Thursday. So we're hoping that we could shore up that we get enough participation to want to do this. Because as you can see on this, I mean, it's 87,000 that we get, annually, which is a really nice chunk, and we have it for another 2 years. So you'd hate to turn that money,
Oh.
back, like when I think we've been very successful at all the activities we've ran. We've done a lot of education with students and families, and we want to keep that focus moving forward. But it's difficult to find people that want to do this. And so that's where we're trying to all step up and figure out internally people that could aid in this. And we can kind of keep this program going for our kids, right? And also, I mean, from an accreditation standpoint, this is a checkoff, right? This is a piece of what schools should be doing. And we've been really, I would say, one of the highest performing public schools at doing this. You look at it across the state, I can share with you from my last district, we did absolutely nothing compared to what we do in Havre. I mean, zero.
Mhm.
So, we'd really like to keep that going because we've made a lot of headway with that. But it's difficult to find people that want to participate. So we're gonna try to run it internally, and, I think Holly, you had the idea that K5 will run one big ticket event K5 and then one big ticket event kind of 6-12 in the spring. So that, then each grade strand is really hitting a big one. And then monthly, they'll still try to do those smaller activities and managing to keep up with the curriculum. But I just wanted you to be aware of kind of the change in that dynamic that we thought we had a real smooth fix. And it turned out not to be. So.
One question I have, I mean, Katie and Jessica have set the bar very high, and like you said, this program has been such a success. I've heard
Yes.
from so many people in the community how excited they are about the activities that we're doing through this program, and not only, including all of our students in this educational format. And so I understand that there's a curriculum, but I think the other key linchpin that Katie and Jessica had were relationships within our tribal communities.
Yes.
And so I'm curious, and that has been key because they brought in speakers, they brought in families to contribute and share. And so I'm curious how you plan to navigate that, given that we have we don't really know who our building coordinators are gonna be and what those relationships and outreach to the tribes look like.
Katie set us up very, very nicely where she had many of the activities planned and contacts listed and everything else for moving forward this year. For
Yeah.
a big chunk of that, so that's
Okay.
already in motion. And so we just need to ensure that it stays in motion and we continue to develop those relationships
And even though Katie and Jessica aren't in this position, I'm wondering too, if they or other parents that are part of the IPC are willing to continue help foster those relationships and connections too.
Yeah, no, so that's a good point. So we're gonna have this fall, that with that fall IPAC meeting, we have to then also, in order to move forward with this different system, get approval from the parents. That, hey, we're gonna run this internally with our building coordinators, like myself and Moses. And we'll need your assistance and help in, probably with some of these things. So we have to get their approval, and then I can turn around from like an email, send that to Greg, and Greg then will release the money based in these new allocations that we decide that instead of
Okay.
so. But I think you're right, Chris, and I think during that time, we'll definitely try to reach out and say,
Yeah.
we love your support.
Yeah.
Love your help for this. Yeah. Yeah. So that was difficult. I mean, all of a sudden that hit Holly and I, like, she got back from England. It's like, boom.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, well.
No more trips across the pond.
It looks
We
like,
gotta figure out.
it looks like a real thorough plan that you have set out here.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
it's
we
over.
the buildings and what are
Yeah.
things that were very helpful, being thoughtful, moving forward with this plan? What do you need for those checkpoints to see what would be feasible?
Keep your fingers crossed that they just wanna throw in their letter of interest to us. Yeah.
D2?
So Havre Public Schools will have functional cameras on all route bus transportation for the 25-26 year. So, Moses and myself and Scott, and Aaron, we were all sitting on these calls with Verkada, right? To Verkada want, they want to update all these different functions. The new buses that roll out have just a myriad of camera support on it, right? Like you can get them to 7 cameras per bus. So you've got 2 outside cameras, 5 internal cameras, right? All this. So we're like, well, we don't really need this, but we want to have, and you guys have seen, we've had enough different issues over time that I instructed Scott and said, we should have cameras on all the route buses, just because you never know the situation of the day. So he's having the last route bus handled here on break, and then we should have full functioning cameras on all of our buses, so that'd be really good.
So would it like sit at the front and
I think there's 4.
That won't work,
Yeah.
because a lot of these buses, the seats are so tall, when I sit in them, you don't see over the seat
Yeah.
in front of you.
okay.
So you have to have more
Yeah.
along the walls on the way down.
Right.
The ones at the front would miss a lot of activity.
Yeah.
As an example, I know there was one case where there was 2 students that had an issue. That was back when I was driving the bus or shortly before I left or something like that. They were fighting, whatever it was, so they went and watched video and they caught, I think it was 4 other kids in 2 locations faking, with the cameras, but it's no longer the bus driver looking in the mirror, yep, they're all good, because you can't even see them. And I think I asked Woody how many short seated buses there were, and there's not many. Very few, and they may actually have them all changed out, but I'm not sure 100% don't have.
Yeah. So right now we have 4 cameras per bus, right? And the new buses that are rolling out, then usually have 5 cameras per bus. Okay. And like I said, they go all the way to 7, where you have one from front back to read license plates and all kinds of stuff if you run a wreck or something happen. But we weren't at the state where we felt like having that many cameras financially makes sense. We're more concerned with, like you're saying, Kevin, the internal situations that happen all the time. So that'll be good. So I think that's a necessary area that we need to have on, and then moving forward, 5 buses of pumping cameras. So
I'm thrilled about this. Thank you so much for doing this, because as a parent whose kids ride the bus and
Right.
just hearing from other bus drivers, I mean, I feel like that is such a difficult job that I feel like this is a tool to help support them and hopefully make things a little bit smoother on the bus, and, not leave it all to them to be kind of the watch keeper, if you will, that there's, something objective that can be reviewed to say what did happen here.
right.
So, thank you.
Is there a volunteer? I had a lady tell me she would like to volunteer to ride on the bus to help keep the kids under control. Well, I'll check. I don't think so, but I'll check. I think is how I worded that.
Right.
But,
Well, and we have some assigned, for the after schools, just when there's more students on the bus to go to the Boys and Girls Club and the next after school fairs. If anyone were to want to volunteer, we have to follow the policies in there, fingerprinting, background checks, everything else too.
the wildest bus ride, and I took every day for like 2-3 months, whatever it was. Person was gone for a while. Was from Highland Park down to the Boys and Girls Club.
Wow.
The
That was
wildest one, no matter what I tried. You can't discipline too much, but the only one that really quieted down, so they were silent, was Mark when he rode the bus.
Sid Irvin, you're on.
Yeah.
They were calm and quiet. The other ones did help, the other teachers, sheriffs or whoever.
And now the Boys and Girls Club comes right to Hyatt.
Yeah.
You don't even have to deal with that.
Yeah, that's a good one, where it's right at Island Park, that's it. Yeah. They were wild.
I remember when my kids were in school, one of them probably contributed to the wildness.
Okay, any other questions or comments or? Check out one that's Okay, if there are none, I will entertain a motion to
You're
reconvene.
missing D3.
Excuse me, Chair.
Oh, sorry, T3. Yep.
So as you've probably been hearing, so I just want to make sure we're all on the same page, that we've had some cooling issues at both middle school and high school. And so, as you know, last Wednesday was day one of school, right? So on day one, then we're getting, calls and fielding these situations. So from our standpoint, we were able to get the high school auditorium and the other part that kind of connects to the high school gym. We were able to send electricians over there to fix that situation last week. With the middle school, what had kind of happened is it sounded like FICO over the summer came in and tried to work on some stuff before we got school going. And in an effort to fix some of the issues, blew up the system to where it really wasn't functioning at all. And so then in talking with Kurt, then Holly and I both went over and we got Will on it. And Will came in because it was no longer pulling from that 10 at night to 10 a.m., right? All cool air trapping it right then.
It's
It's
quiet.
supposed to be cooler. So Will came in because then the fans were completely non-functional and was overriding them just to kind of work for the past few days. So then when we talked to FICO, the reps they had that were available are based out of Kalispell and they're working on it today. So today was the soonest we could get FICO reps in the building to repair the damaged fans and get that system up moving as it should. So they're working on it today. So just wanted to let you guys know that.
So was their problem and it took them a week to get here?
Yeah, well, when they were noticed it was Wednesday, right? So we didn't get a hold of them until Wednesday afternoon. And then that was
Yeah.
the soonest. They
I
had
would think
people
if they
that
screwed it up, they should have prioritized ours over
one would think.
They did say we were next on the list immediately,
Yeah.
because they were finishing up
Yeah.
one other one.
Wouldn't prioritize their bill if it shows up.
Yeah, right.
You have Bill, right?
I wouldn't think so, but if it shows up, I ain't prioritizing that.
I wouldn't think so either.
Okay,
Yeah, considering this was their update
Yeah.
on that.
okay.
Yeah, I would agree. But yeah, I know what you're saying, Garrett. Like that was the soonest we could get them there. And so, like I said, our guys jumped in to try and do as much as they could to provide help, and Holly and I were out visiting with all the teachers and saying, listen, we know it's not great. Just try to keep hanging in there. We got doors open, we got big fans moving. We're trying to do the best we can. Even if we'll come in and just override it, just move air in there so that there's some air moving in effort maybe to make it a little better for them. So
It's been moving making
Yeah.
swamp coolers every 45 minutes to different rooms.
so that's been
and
rotating, like it's been,
ice packs with them and.
yeah, we've been trying to make it.
Working so hard and so that's filling everybody in.
Yeah.
They're-
Yeah, just trying to make it as comfortable as possible. So we're hoping today, and I talked to one of Kurt's teachers who was upset about it. I said, let's see first. I said, your principal and I have been talking about kind of some next steps if this doesn't. But I said, I want you just to be aware that our school district has spent a lot of money on this project, right, to get these whole updates with Amoresco and FICO and get this. So let's see if the fix today becomes sufficient, right? Let's see if we can actually get this to work and then run how it should in theory. But if not, we're always looking at the next steps. What other sources of maybe portable units do we need to buy? So we'll go down that road, but hopefully, right, this works because like I said, this was a big project which should run efficiently versus the need to buy all these portable AC units in theory. So we'll see. But anyway, just wanted to keep you guys in the loop on here's what's going, we're on top of it, and hopefully today, well, that's all. So,
Now, I would entertain a motion. At our next regularly scheduled meeting, September 9th at 6:30 at the Havre Middle School.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
This meeting is adjourned.